man, you need to really like pipe it down, you know, because you can lose it all thinking that you that person, you thinking that you guys are too much. How am I going to compete with Nike and Adidas at the gym? You almost can't, you know what I mean? Because what? Y'all niggas are doing this? Yo, we gotta co-sign you Under Armour partnership.
Yo, man, I've seen way too many people come in
And out, and out. And then get tutored by everyone telling you you're the guy. You're not the guy. Don't ever think you're the guy when someone tells you you're the guy. You know what I mean? You're not, you know? And I always give them my honest truth is that it's so crazy that I tried to sign to all these agencies that maybe most are signed to, and I never got accepted. But I'm modeling on the side and doing pretty much more than most of the models that are signed to the agencies, you know. So said I should go because when you look at the brief, it showed like references of people who they're looking for. My nigga, I was on the brief. I was there.
That's me.
That's me. They're looking for people like me. Then they told me go there. So I'm thinking, this is mine.
It's done.
I get there, don't get it.
I think another thing that you tapped into, which is super important, which I want black kids to tap into, is...
And you're live on Dead Radio.
Welcome to another very special episode of Dead Radio with your boy Ini. And once again, we have a very special guest in the building, reporting live from 138 SMUTS. We're going to let our guests introduce themselves, and then we're going to get into their life story. And you know how we do, get those jewels for you guys to use in your everyday lives. So without further ado,
Thank you, man. Yo, what's up, beautiful people? I go by the name of Tebogo Mahange. All-round entrepreneur, creative director, content creator, model, fashion, fitness, you know, yeah, just all things in the streets, man.
I feel you.
Easy.
I feel you. How are you doing right now?
Right now is in 2024.
No, in this
very moment.
moment.
I'm doing okay, man. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm doing all right. Yeah.
Yeah, dope.
Yourself?
I'm good, bro.
Yeah.
Shout out for asking.
Easy.
I think how I start this is to predict the future, right? You have to go into the past.
Yeah.
And to give context to who you are today, we gotta start from page 1 of your book.
Yeah.
Right? So tell us about Tebogo as a young man. Where did you grow up and what type of kid were you?
Grew up in Soweto, Muletani, Kuna Lady.
Southside.
Yeah, Southside, you know, yeah, we moved to the west at the time, Roodepoort.
Okay.
As I got a bit older, and then from there moved into the Fourways regions.
Okay.
You know, and yeah, went to high school in Sandringham.
Okay.
And yeah, I think that's how it. I don't want to say how it all began, but I think high school, meeting a few of my mates around that time who were obviously interested in fashion at the time. That's where the whole thing of me being into the whole fashion streetwear.
That's where it comes
That's
from.
where it stems from, you know. After high school, I think beginning of the year, first year, I didn't know what I really wanted to do. So, you know, the typical stay at home, trying to figure yourself out, what you want to study, what you want to be about. And then at the time, one of my closest friends, he was a manager at a retail store.
Okay.
And I think a year later, I wanted to work, you know, because I still didn't feel a knack of wanting to go to school because I didn't know what I wanted to study. And then he employed me. It was a skate store called Boogaloos.
Boogaloos in Randburg.
Yeah.
Legendary
Bro,
store.
where it all began. Yeah, man. Employed me, started working there. And I think that's where it peaked the most, my interest of fashion with him as well, you know. And I worked there for 2 years. He was there for quite some time, and then we ended up leaving. And before leaving, actually, we were already making samples of clothing, you know, like going to our tailor, making fits, you know, some vests, trying to figure out like this whole fashion thing, you know. And then we basically left the retail space and wanted to just, you know, be entrepreneurs and try and figure this stuff out on the streets. From then onwards, we then started playing with materials, sourcing out stuff, fabrics, you know, making some tees, making some vests, and we had a few homies who were also DJs, artists and stuff, and then what we did from that was basically style them for the music videos, you know. And then from us doing that, it obviously just influenced us and motivated us to just want to do a bit more than what was actually going on at the time, you know. And yeah, I think from there, his dad was also in the retail spaces, so then he then basically saw our vision, believed in us a lot, and then put a down payment on a retail store for us in Newtown Junction. I don't know if you remember, there was a Newtown Junction space where there were like different stores in and around the area. Yes. And we had our very first retail store, which was Raw XSV, and our clothing brand at the time was called Republic Couture.
Republic
Couture.
Okay,
So yeah, around that time, him and I just, you know, jumped into the scene and just started like making clothes, you know, styling artists, creative directing, and yeah, for a good 4 years it was a dope movement, you know. I mean, we were traveling, sourcing fabrics in and out of China, you know what I mean, and look, for what it was worth, it was really something that was amazing, and it really like made me who I am today, you know. And then I think a good 4 years late down the line, him and I, well, the store basically became insolvent in a way, you know. I mean, I think we were kids at the time, not gonna lie. I was 21, he was 22, you know, and I think around that time, man, you feel like everything's forever. So all the money, all the success that's coming in, you feel like it's never ending. So we weren't really putting back into the business. We weren't really putting back. We're just taking it out, you know, doing what typical 21-year-old, 22-year-olds are going to do, club, you know.
Blow the money,
you know the vibes, you know, buying clothes, alcohol, all these things, traveling. And for 3 years, you think like, you know, you're invincible, you know, you can just continue doing that. And then 4 years down the line, got to a point where they said to us, hey, listen guys, you guys are behind on rent. We weren't really replenishing the stock. And they basically had to let us go, you know. Obviously that was a big downer for us. And that was around the time of 2018. It was time to really like figure myself out again, you know. So we had to like figure ourselves out individually now, because we were doing so many things together that now that we lost that thing, it was like, oh damn, we have to now figure ourselves individually, you know, because all we knew was what we're doing.
I feel you.
And it was around that time as well, I also lost my grandmother. I lost the love of my life at the time, the store. So, you know, it was a bit heavy for the boy. It was a bit heavy for the boy, but...
And you're live on Dead Radio. And you're live on Dead Radio.
It was then when I also started going to therapy.
Okay.
You know, because I just figured that I was looking for answers. I did not know where to really go about finding these answers, you know. And within therapy, I think that's what also like pivoted my mindset and mind frame at the time, you know. Because with me going to therapy, obviously I was starting to find out a bit more about myself, what I'm about. I still did not know what I really wanted to do, because I had lost everything that I knew I stood for. You know, because I was doing everything in the creative spaces of fashion, creative direction and everything. So it's like, who am I now? But I started training as well, going to the gym, you know, and that was another new outlet for me to really like tap into myself and figure out what it is that I want to be about and who I want to be and what I stand for, you know. And it brought a lot of discipline into my life. A lot of structure, and within that space, I got back into I think at the time that we were doing our things, Instagram wasn't the biggest thing, but then around 2018, 2019, I think that's when Instagram like really started like really being a thing, and you know, content creators were huge, in the sense that you post pictures of yourself, your fits, and those would boom on social media, you know. So I tapped back into that, where I'll just rock some dope ass fits and just, you know, showcase myself. And then I got hit up by an agency that was working with Superdry, and they were like, "Yo, man, we see your look, we see your aesthetic, we vibe with the energy. How would you like to model for us?" I was like, "Yeah, no, let's do this. Let's switch it on." And then from there, modeled for Superdry, shot some dope looks, dope campaign, and then I think 2 or 3 weeks after, they hit me up saying, "Yo, we messed with the look so much. There's a specific image that we want to use as our billboard. Do you give us the right permission?" Obviously, with all the stuff that the underground stuff that you need to do to allow that. And I said yes, and then next thing you know, I was on my very first billboard. You know, Superdry billboard. You know.
I wanna pause there because there's certain parts of your story that I want to tap into.
Okay, for sure.
Right? Number one, the fashion thing, right? Because I'm always so interested. I always speak to people who like can dress well or are into aesthetics.
Yeah.
Do you believe that style, you're born with style, or can you learn style?
I think you're born with style, man. I think you're born with this, for lack of a better word, swag, aura. You know, this source. You're born with it. You know. Look, I think you can learn to become that, but I don't think. Let me not say I don't think. I just believe that it's something that is innately in you. It's inside you. You know. But you definitely can learn, you know, but I think you'll be able to distinguish who learned and who I think you can see that, you know, exactly.
And for you, since you believe you were born with it, when you look at your family tree, where does it come from?
My grandmother, my mother, literally like, my that side of the family.
They're the aesthetic gods.
Wardrobes were crazy, you know, clothes on clothes on clothes. So I think it really stemmed from them, you know.
And before that, like after high school, right, or during high school,
you
had never thought that the fashion thing could be like a career or a pathway?
I think we didn't see it at that, because who really around that time was doing anything in a fashion space, you know, especially in South Africa, if you may put it like that, you know. Hence why it was very difficult for us to really figure out what it is that we want to be about. But we always knew how to dress, you know, like, shout out to my mom for taking care of me, you know, back then when JJ's was a thing, you know, opening up all those cards, you know, all the skinny jeans, when skinny jeans were a thing, you know, so like I had all the colorways, had my first pair of Vans because of her. So it was within those times that literally like opened up a lot of things in my mind, but I didn't think it was like
a career,
you know, like a career path. It was just like, I like to look cool, you know, your Little Wayne eras, skinny pants and some Vans, you know what I mean? So it was those things that influenced us, but we didn't see it as I didn't see it as a career.
I feel you.
You know?
Damn, it's so important for kids to actually have a reference point.
Yeah.
Because that's when your mind like opens up. You're 110%. Like, and especially like a reference point that you can touch. Maybe not even physically, but in your country, in your city, in your neighborhood. Because a lot of kids don't know that they can do something because they've never seen it.
Yeah.
You feel me? So I completely get what you're saying. And then obviously you jumped into working at the skate store.
Yeah.
What did you learn about style from skaters? Because they have a very specific
They were ahead of the time, man.
So ahead.
They were ahead of their time, man. And I think right now we kind of referencing that aesthetic right now, you know, from the shoes, from the oversized tees, like skating is literally, I believe, where it all stemmed from, in a way, and it just became a thing that got incorporated into hip hop and fashion and music. You know, obviously, music is one of the biggest pivots of showing people what you want to be about, because once we see your favorite artist, you want to be like them, you know. But I personally believe like the skating era was what really birthed a lot of us. I really do believe that.
Okay, and then you guys start the first brand, right?
Yeah.
What were some of those early mistakes? Because a lot of kids who are gonna watch this, right, I like to get into the actual like real things that happen, so kids can have like a reference point of like, okay, so if I have an idea for a brand, what's the next step? So what were like some of those first things you guys made? I'm sure it was like t-shirts.
Yeah, it was the basic cotton vests, tees, you know. I think what to look for is obviously learning and understanding fabric. Do you want to buy bulk? What is it, like blanks, or do you want to make things from scratch? You know, figure that out. Understand that if you are making things from scratch, it might be a bit challenging to create a full size curve. Size curve meaning creating 10 smalls, 10 medium, 10 larges, and making sure that they actually all are the same product, you know. I think the best way to maybe start it is by buying blanks, you know, be much safer at that, printing, and then from there just figuring out what your aesthetic is about and what you want to be about. Who do you present? What does this brand actually stand for? You know, what are you doing it for? Is it quick money? Is it longevity? And I think the other things that we obviously like struggled with was just not being able to really maintain it. You know, maintenance is a very important thing that I figured that we weren't able to do because we just felt like it was forever. Like I'm saying, when you're young, a lot of things that are coming your way feels like forever. It feels like forever. Then you wake up and it's all gone.
And
so
I feel like another thing that a lot of young black entrepreneurs have is we don't have mentors.
Yeah.
We don't have people who you can call and ask and be like, yo, bro, this is my first store.
Exactly.
What are those things that I actually need to like make sure so that this thing runs?
Which is so fair and valid, because we do need people like that. But what's so crazy at our time, when you're the only person doing that, who are you going to go ask? Who are you going to have these conversations with? You know, I think now more than ever, definitely. You know, there's many outlets that are out here, you know, that you can go to, you know, such as Dead itself. There's so many franchises that are out here where you can actually be like, yo, this is someone that you know, that you can speak to, that you can bump into and actually get advice from. But back then, that was like one of those things where it's like, how are you doing this? If anything, those are the questions being asked, you know? So it was very hard to really maintain that, but we definitely do need that sort of guidance.
Yeah, man, like mentorship is
so important. You know, until today, I'm still in that stage of wanting to be taught, wanting to learn, asking the questions you always have to ask. Always ask, you know, you lose nothing in asking.
I get you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now another part I want to dive into is, what can I call this folder? I'll double click this, I'll name this folder disappointment/failure.
Yeah.
So I want to double click and open this folder.
Okay.
Right? After those 4 years of you guys running the store and then eventually crash.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like while we're in front of these cameras, we need to tell these kids about failure.
Yeah.
And disappointment and how that's not the end, right? How did you initially just deal with the failure? Feeling like, bro, we've been running this thing for 4 years and now it's like, bro, we're behind on rent. They're telling us, yo, we gotta get the fuck out of here. Like, mentally, like, how did you deal with that? Even being like 21.
Yeah. I think, you know, I think it'll even delve back to why we at the stage of my career now of having a new baby called Vault, is that it's so hard to really I kept a lot of things hidden, you know, and just kept it to myself. And I think maybe the very first few months or year when that happened, it was a very dark place for me, you know. It was very like, you know, I don't know who or what I'm about. And I think, like I'm saying, me going out to reaching out for therapy, going to gym, those were my outlets, you know. I don't think I ever spoke to a lot of people about that failure, because at the end of the day, it just felt like, do they really care, you know? Because at the time, your peers weren't doing what you're doing, so, you know, you don't really think that they really care about that issue like that, you know? It's just, how did your shit happens.
Keep it moving.
Let's keep it moving, you know? And him and I, my mate at the time, who's still my boy, I don't think we ever really spoke about it till like maybe 2-3 years
after,
you know, when I was like, oh damn, this shit happened, because we went with each other. We just separate. Like once they're close, it was like, well, and it wasn't like we doing that. It just happened naturally, you know. And so I think within that, it forced you to also like man up by yourself, trying to figure your own shit out and just see how to go about life. And I was fortunate enough to have tapped into the therapy thing, you know, because I think most people don't. Most black males are not really into that, you know, and
we're not taught to share our emotions, to work through it.
Yeah, you know, and even then at the time, I think even my mom wasn't relatively like, no, I don't want to say like closed door to it, but she wasn't open to the idea. So it's just like, you know how our typical parents are? Just like, I mean, man, you can figure this shit out yourself. You don't need to be going to somebody else to be speaking about stuff. But look, I think for me, it did a service. Hence, I'm saying like, if right now there's certain disappointments and failures that someone is going through, I think one of the biggest outlets, if they haven't tapped into it, is reaching out for help. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. No one's saying you are going through something that you can never come out from, but essentially let's look out and reach out to speak to somebody, you know, and find other elements or avenues to really tap into a different avenue to break out of what's making us feel like we are failing, you know. It can be anything, you know.
I think another thing that you tapped into, which is super important, which I want black kids to tap into, is gymming and exercise.
Yeah.
Bro. Because when I started running, right, I started realizing that I have better days.
Yes.
Like my outlook, my perspective is like, it's stronger, right? And then I started realizing that your mind, your body, and your spirit are all connected.
110%.
So once you start working on your body, you're working on your mind. And then once you're working on those two, then your spirit comes together.
And that aligns you with everything of your day-to-day discipline. You know what I mean? Like, you now know when to wake up, how to wake up, what to eat, what not to eat. And then, that basically like ties into your daily life. That's what literally taught me routine. If it wasn't for training, I wouldn't be the person that I am right now. I wouldn't be as disciplined as I am, you know, when it comes to certain things and achieving the things that I want to achieve, because now it's second nature knowing that I need to go to the gym at this time. And then from there, make sure that you wake up at this time. Make sure you're well prepared for your meals that you want to eat, you know. So I think it's very imperative, like for the mind, for the spirit, for the soul, like to really tap into that, you know. And like I'm saying, you know, it's not your traditional. You don't always have to be going to the gym to be lifting weights. There's so many elements, you know, and I think we'll obviously speak about like where we at now. But like there's so many different avenues that you can tap into that it's like it's not just that, and those can be the intimidating spaces, you know. But also finding and doing things with like-minded people also can get you a long way, you know.
Okay, let's get back on your timeline.
Yeah.
So now you get your first modeling gig with Superdry.
Yeah.
So once that billboard is out, how do you perceive this mentally? Like after having gone through that dark period, now it's like you've turned your life around. You've started exercising, you're doing therapy, and then this thing comes to you.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm obviously seeing a lot of light, you know, a lot of, okay, we're getting somewhere, you know. Funny enough, while we still had the store, I was signed to a modeling agency and I wasn't getting gigs. And I think what put me off with the modeling stuff at the time that we had the retail store was I was under an agency which you'd expect or hope that they represent you well, which they really didn't. And then how that put me off the most was when there was a brief where they said they were looking for specific models and the agent at the time said I should go, because when you looked at the brief it showed like references of people who they're looking for. My nigga, I was on the brief. I was there.
That's me.
That's me. They're looking for people like me. Then they told me go there. So I'm thinking, this is mine.
it's done.
I get there, don't get it. So I'm like, man, this modeling.
There's something funny
this
going
modeling
on.
shit ain't for me, you know. And I think at the time I probably was also very much slimmer than I was. Not even now, but back then, at that time, you know. So maybe it was that. So those elements I was looking at, like, okay, cool. How can I better myself? Because there's certain things that I'm really passionate about, I want to be about. But then when I keep doing them, the doors are not opening the way. And I think the fitness thing, when I tapped into that, then the Superdry thing opened. Like, you know, I'm the guy now to look to, you know. And after that billboard and Superdry collab, we continued working furthermore, and other brands started hitting me up, you know. And it just became a thing of, okay, brand after brand after brand, you know. And that's when now it's like, okay, cool, now I'm Tebogo Mahange, the model. You know what I mean? And now things are booming for me in that space, you know. And then within that time frame, I think 2018, 19, 20, it was around the time also social media content creation, influencers are becoming a thing. So now that's also tying into my brand as Tebogo Mahange, the model, the content creator, you know. And then now I'm influencing for other brands. So then it just tied all into one thing where it's like, okay, cool. Now I've built a name for myself outside of what I had already had before, you know, and I'm running with it. It's working, you know. But then deep down inside, I always knew I wanted to come back to fashion. Because that's what really was my driving force, you know. And hence why the name of my clothing company is called Vault, is that it's called Vault Clothing Company because I'm now opening up my vault of ideas to the public, you know.
Amazing.
So that's how we got to where we are.
Okay, so let's tap into the folder, double click the folder fashion model, right? Because this is an educational podcast. So at any point, I always like to dive deep into things so the kids watching know how to maneuver, right? So in terms of like the modeling space, what's the best way to navigate? Because you already spoke about the first mistake, which was the agency, right? Do you need to be signed to an agency to actually make it in the modeling space on a professional level? Because there are a lot of models who have Instagram portfolios, but like there's a difference between Instagram models and like models who actually end up on billboards.
So we can say commercial models or something like that, I guess definitely if you want to get to that stage of, you know, let's say your runways, your billboards and stuff, I think good representation is important. It's very important, you know. Who you sign to can make or break you as a model, you know. I think I broke into the more commercial side of things, you know. I get asked a lot of these questions as like, are you signed? Who you under? Who's representing you? And I always give them my honest truth is that it's so crazy that I tried to sign to all these agencies that maybe most are signed to, and I never got accepted. But I'm modeling on the side and doing pretty much more than most of the models that are signed to the agencies, you know. So it's very 50-50, you know. Like I just think, I don't know, like it's very hard. It'd be very hard to give the best advice.
I get you.
But
I get you.
For me, I'd always believe that independency is always key because you have more control. you keep more of your coins more than anything, you know. But that's also it's also a long road. It's a very long road to break into what you want to break into. So would you be willing to
put in the
time, you know, because everything takes time, or it's not like it's an easy way out being signed. That also alleviates the pressure of having to wait, you know. So it's just finding what kind of works for you, you know, because it's like I'm saying, I tried to sign to agencies. I tried, and they used to like bring me down because it was like, but I'm modeling for XYZ brand. But then whenever I try to sign to this agency, they say, no, you're not model fit. And I'm like, okay, you know what, let me just leave this modeling agency stuff. Yeah. Let me just continue with being this brand. And I think because I built myself as like a brand, you know, that there's so much value into me that it makes it much easier or attractable to the set brands that want to work with me, or companies or agencies, you know. So also building yourself as a brand is also very important, you know, because you can stand out, you know, against everybody else, you know, and an image, you know. I think I knew that once I started tapping into the whole fitness thing, it was going to make me stick out just a bit more.
Once again.
Some tattoos, you know, obviously building the aesthetic behind you. And then from there, it's undeniable that they're going to want to work with you, you know. It's all building blocks.
I get you. We can talk about the yeses in terms of the brands that you said yes to.
Yeah.
But I'm always interested in the no's.
Yeah.
Did you have no's? Were there brands in that early phase where you were like, nah, this doesn't fit my aesthetic? But then also models are mannequins. If you understand what I mean.
Like, that you don't necessarily need.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to even fuck with the brand to model for it.
Yeah.
But were there brands that you said no to or
Okay,
not?
so when it comes to modeling, like let's say if I'm modeling for Dead per se, let me say, obviously I'm modeling for the product, the brand. Whether I fuck with the brand or not, it doesn't matter. But influencing, content creation, definitely there are many brands that I've said no to. And sometimes, most cases, it's brand alignment or as to like who and what I stand for, you know, because I don't want to just be shooting stuff to shoot stuff, you know what I mean? It's like, that's not my brand.
It doesn't make sense.
When your audience looks at it, it's like, nah, this thing is doing it for the money, or whatever the case may be, you know, and two is the money. You know, you want to get paid your worth, you know. Like, I think we've put in a lot of work to be where we are right now. So essentially, you do want to get paid somewhat your value, you know. I do believe that nobody's ever going to pay you your worth, you know. I can come out here and say I'm worth 2 million rand, but the organization may not be able to pay me that, you know. We're going to get to an agreement. We're going to get to a balance, and you're willing to accept that, you know. Only you can pay yourself what you feel like you're worth, you know. Sure. So it's always just finding that little in-between gray area, you know. But I've turned down quite a few, you know, and it's brand alignment, very much brand alignment, because I'm very brand aligned with how I want to, like, portray myself, because that's who I am. You know, I don't want people looking at me saying, man, this nigga's just here out here
for the bag.
For the bag. You know, I don't think I ever recall doing things for the bag, even when I wasn't getting paid.
I feel
you know what I mean? It's not one of those things, you know. I've really like just grafted and took my time
with it.
Yeah.
Damn, I love that you keep like focusing in and zooming in on time, and I feel like that's super important, because like we live in an era where you can go viral today,
for sure.
But that doesn't bring you longevity. You feel me?
110%,
like, yo man, I've seen way too many people come in
and out, in and out, you know.
You feel me?
And look, the ones that do get in and are able to like maneuver to the point where they stay in, shout out to them. Big kudos to them, you know, because it takes you being very, I don't want to say the word smart, but like just knowing how to maneuver in the space once you got into it, you know, because it's very easy to be the hot nigga on the block right now, and then get tutored by everyone telling you're the guy. You're not the guy. Don't ever think you're the guy when someone tells you you're the guy. You know what I mean? You're not, you know?
Yo, man, what's the phrase? It's very important for you not to live and die by the cheers or the boos of people. Because either way, like, it can mess you up.
For sure, like, for sure.
Damn. So as all these things are happening, right?
Yeah.
I always like to talk about ego,
Yeah.
right? Because ego is it's an important thing. You need ego, but too much ego can brush people the wrong way,
Yes.
close doors for
yeah.
you. So how did you deal with your ego at that time when now you're like the modeling thing is moving?
To be honest, I let go of the ego when we lost our store. I think around the time we were doing what we were doing when we were that young, the ego was was out there. It was there, and I guess I probably did affect a lot of people in the sense of how I portrayed myself and acted towards them, because we felt like, nigga, we are those guys, you know. And I think in losing that, it kind of made me think about like, man, you need to really like pipe it down, you know, because you can lose it all thinking that you that person, you thinking that you guys are too much, you know. But listen, I still do believe I'm too much, but it's in a more balanced, you know, in a more like, it's confidence. There's more confidence than there is ego, you know. But
I feel you.
Like, you need ego, unfortunately, to get you to where you need to get to sometimes, you know. It's just knowing how to play with it, you know. But that's why I put it into the more confident side of things, you know. The confidence stems from, I worked this out to be this person, you know, so you're not going to take that away from me, you know. If I'm out there at the gym 24/7 doing what I'm doing, how can I not be confident enough to want to show my body? You know what I mean? It's just those little things that people will perceive as ego, but it's like, if you work this hard to be this person, how can you not want to be that person to show it to? Because what's the whole point of being that person? To put it in the corner and hide, you know? So I think with the modeling stuff, I tapped out. I was more appreciative to be back in this space, to be back doing things that you want to do, you know. I didn't go back to work for anybody else. I didn't go back to, like, you know, it was like
a retail
store again. Like, it was like, dog, you here again? You gotta, like, you know, do something about that, you know. So I was more appreciative, more than the ego.
I love that, like, because you touched on something that's really important, putting the ego in the work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That way you'll be able to move for forever.
110%.
Like, you get me. Okay. So now the modeling thing is booming, but the urge and the fire inside is like, bro, I need to go back to my first love.
Yeah.
So those moments, right? Or that time period before you even thought of the name. What are you thinking? Aren't you scared of going back to the thing that you had failed after those 4 years with the store in Newtown? Because a lot of people would be scared. They'd be like, ish, this modeling thing is really working. I don't know if I can take another failure.
Another L, yeah. I was scared in the sense of I was doing it alone now.
You didn't have
I didn't have the right hand homie to be like, you know, two is better than one. You know, teamwork always makes the dream work. So now my decision making is really, it's like, it has to be
on you.
It's on me. Everything's on me. So whatever decision I make, I have to stand by it, because there's no one that's gonna say, yeah, let's do it like this, or no, yes, no. And I'm not big on people's opinions, especially when they're not inside of my closed facility. You know, because I think people also project a lot on things that they don't want you to be about because they're not where they need to be, you know. So the minute someone says something that I asked and it's the exact opposite of what I wanted to do, I'm gonna do that, you know. It's like, when you tell me no, I'm gonna do the no. I'm gonna go, you know what I mean? So I figured that that was the scary point for me, was now I have to do it by myself. And I knew that I needed some sort of assistance and guidance, but at the time, it was like, no, we need to start this, and it is what it is, you know. We gotta just make sure we kickstart it, you know. So yeah, that's how it.
Damn, that's how you felt at that moment.
Yeah, at that moment. So, but it didn't stop me from doing it.
I get you. Okay, so now you get the name, and what are the first few steps you take in establishing this new brand? Because also you have a public name, or you're a public brand, right? So what were some of those first few things or plans that you had for this new brand called Vault?
Just to make some tees, you know.
Back to basics.
Back to basics. The basics will always be tees, caps. You know, that's a brand entry level of it. It's brand awareness. People want to know what you're about, and the best way to do it is print your name, get some models. Look, I've always been big on disassociating myself with my brand. You know, like if people ever see my clothing company, my Vault Strength Club as well, with the team, is that what I do is I'm not the face of it. I shy away from being the face of it, you know, because essentially with the things that I'm building, I want them to live on even after me. And with them living on after me, I don't want you to have been supporting my brand because it's mine. Or I was the face, you know. I want it to be a thing of, no, you messed with it because it was some dope ass shit, you know. So even when I'm gone,
that's
it's gonna
the best way
110%
to build a brand.
Yeah.
Especially in the era that we're living in, where you can get cancelled for anything, like
you understand,
even a lie.
Yeah.
Someone can go on the internet and lie, or yo, Tebogo did this, yo, he punched me in the face,
you know what I mean?
and then your brand.
And then now I'm the face. I chose to be the guy for this brand, and now it all just falls, you know. So what I did was basically scout a few models, you know, book them, get some dope photographers, and shoot some campaigns, you know. And I've always been big on, because I come from a content creating space already, HD, making sure that things must not look like they belong here. You need to make things look like we're competing with your fear of gods, we're competing with your off-whites, and it doesn't always have to be just the material, just the content. How you shoot your lookbooks, how you shoot, you know, just don't make it look like it's something that is accessible in South Africa, but it is, you know. And when you look cool, bro, when you look cool in something, I feel like naturally people are gonna gravitate towards that energy. They're gonna feel like it works because you look good in it, so might as well, you know. But also don't, I live like two lives in a sense of, with my companies and Tebogo Mahange. Like when you look at Tebogo Mahange, you don't necessarily see what's going on my page with the companies, you know, unless I post on my stories, or when there's like a meaningful lookbook or something that I need to post that's in line with it. But my promotion does not lie on me. It relies on its own. It lives on its own. You know what I mean?
I love that you spoke on something about how when you create content, it needs to be world class.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't understand this thing, that because we're all on the internet,
Yep.
we're all competing on the same level.
Mm-hmm.
So people now don't care whether it's from Italy,
Yep.
South Africa, Botswana, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't
Is
matter.
it international?
Exactly.
Level.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, that's a huge key. So now, okay, the brand is like moving.
Yeah.
When do you figure out, yo, I need to make the strength club or the lifestyle or the fitness element to this brand?
Crazy story. Around that time, I did create Vault Clothing Company, you know, around 2022. I even have it tattooed on me, because this was me feeling and believing that this is God giving me a second chance to do it right, you know. And this is my daily reminder to wake up every day and to be like, yo, you here now. This is what you're committing to, and this is what you're gonna be about, you know. Within that time of COVID, I started the brand. I think around 2021, it grew a lot of traction and a lot of success, to the point where I was working with alcohol brands, making merchandise for them, you know, companies such as Vooz, you know, Johnny Walker, Don Julio, etc., you know. It was around that time, because I was so heavy into fitness, that I wanted to do an athleisure wear. So then I registered another company around that time called Black Bar Clothing. But then I didn't do anything. I put it on ice, but I registered it. Just hold that name. We're gonna get here sometime. I don't know when, because I don't know what the idea is, but it's coming. Yeah. And at the time, I wanted to separate the companies, not thinking that I could actually just put them together. So registered the company. Because myself as the personal brand, Tebogo was booming, you know, work is going well, everything is going well, Vault Clothing Company is going well. It was very hard to really like tap into that project again because I was doing most of my things by myself. Like I'd hire a group of like-minded people for certain projects, you know, but I didn't really have a team, you know, that I had like around me.
For Vault,
yeah. Like I'll just be like, okay, cool. You're a dope creative director, you're a dope shooter, you dope for this project, I want this team. Let's work together, get commissioned, whatever, move on to the next, you know. Because I've just always like dealing with things by myself. Like I'm on my phone 24/7 because I'm always working on my phone, you know. And then what happened was, I think it was 2023, 2022, I think 2022. I started not feeling as inspired anymore in the fashion space. It just felt like things were starting to feel and look the same because I don't want to say I was ahead of my time or whatever the case may be, but just the way I went about things just felt like now a lot of people were catching on, not to my ideas. No idea is original, number one. However, just to where the space is at now. And it just felt like, man, I'm no longer feeling that. I need a new drive. Yeah, Vault Clothing Company will always be there. Fashion will always be there. I know how to do it. And I've solidified the name. So let me just shift gears. I think it was around 2023, I wrote in my notes Vault Strength Club. And even then, I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. But I wrote it down in my notes, Vault Strength Club. And I was like, whatever it is that I'm doing next, it's that. You know, and I didn't know what it was per se, but I wrote it down. And then I think it was around the time that I did that, I figured that, look, now that I wrote this name and I think I want to tap into that leisure space, I can't make two separate business identities. I mean, I called it Vault Clothing Company for a reason, it's a company. So why can't I just have Vault Strength Club with Vault Clothing in one company, you know? So fast forward to late last year, you know, you're watching the trends, you know, as things go, you know, like I'm saying, I'm heavy into fitness, I'm heavy into wellness. So globally I'm seeing the people that I'm following, that I'm inspired by, they heavy into running, you know, aesthetically looks cool, you know, I'm very big on aesthetics, you know. So I'm like, okay, man, this shit looks hella cool, you know, and I want to tap into it, you know, because the only time I really delved into running was around the COVID times, you know, when we didn't really have much choice, you know, and even then it wasn't the worst thing, but it wasn't something that at the time I wanted to be about because I was more about the aesthetics of training, how I want to look more than what I wanted to feel. So fast forward to late last year, December, I'm heavy into this. I'm looking at the boys overseas doing their thing and I'm like, man, I'm itching. I need to start running. But then I'm not doing it because at the time, like, I'm doing a lot of things by myself. Like I said, you know, I'm no longer around the people that I used to be around, you know, because things are just not aligning in terms of mentality, where we want to be as human beings. And the more you grow, man, the more you figure yourself out a bit more, and the more you distance yourself from things that you no longer really align to, you know. So it's much harder for me to tap into this new frequency because I'm thinking about it alone. Fast forward to like Jan, I just woke up, got out of my bed, started running, having a content creator sort of mind frame. I already knew how to shoot these things from what I was seeing overseas, you know, or on social media. So I shoot the content, whack-ass run, toughest run of my life, or what it felt like then. But then I was like, okay, cool, let's make this a thing now, because I've started.
Yeah.
Now
you can't stop.
I can't stop now, you know. But even then, I still didn't really figure out what it is that I wanted to do. But Vault Strength Club was still there in my mind, you know. I hadn't switched the names yet. I hadn't done anything, but I just started running. Then me and my homeboy linked at the gym, you know. He came to the gym that I'm training at, and then him and I started connecting, you know, because he was more of a runner than I was, and he told me what it did for him as well, mental health, and how it got him out of a dark space, and just how it made him feel, you know. So that encouraged me more to actually want to be about this running shit, but it was tough, you know. So him and I started running together, just running, going about our things, going about our lives. going to run clubs, you know, experiencing them. And then we started meeting like-minded individuals who have also, like, let's say, tapped out of a life that they're no longer really about, you know, for lack of a better word, we'll say the dog life, you know what I mean, you know, so now I'm with these like-minded individuals, we're all just doing these wellness things, running, you know, we're just active beings, you know, paddle, so we're all relating to one another because we're at the space, and it's like, oh shit, I found like a young community of like-minded people, a tribe, you know, and we all mess with the same energy. Then we, like I'm saying, we started entering marathon runs, races, dog, it's all cool, it's dope, you know. What then happened was, in the back of my mind, I was like, I want to start a run club. But I need a community. We need to build a community first, and within building this community, I want to put my athleisure wear in it, you know, so that we can sell to the market. Because how am I going to compete with Nike and Adidas at the gym? You almost can't, you know what I mean? Because essentially, it doesn't matter who you are. People are naturally going to gravitate towards what they already know, and there's not much community building, I believe, in the gym. Because let's say if I squat 100 kgs and you squat 20. It's, you know what I mean? You're not going to be as excited or motivated to want to train with me because you're not on the same level, you know? So the best way to build a community will be outside. And I wanted to find a way to be like, what can we do outside that can bring people together and make everyone feel like we won? And running, hiking, those were the ideas that were like playing to my mind, you know? And then within us going to these run clubs, I was going to them, it was dope, like I love the energy, I love the vibes, but I didn't feel a sense of I belong there, you know. Maybe it's because it was already existing, I don't know what it was, but they were cool, they taught me a lot, like with how to run, you know, because they know voice runners, it taught me a lot, but I just didn't feel, I wasn't always excited to want to go there. I didn't feel like, damn, we're going to go run together, you know what I mean? It never felt that. And for me, I'm driven by passion. I'm driven, that's like, I'm a very passionate guy. So if something is not driving me to do it, it's pointless for me to want to do it. So I was like, no, we need to create our own vibe of this. We need to create something that's going to make us feel like we won, we together, you know? And fast forward to our very first group run with, like I said, the team of people that I was doing the running stuff with, the activities with. And funny enough, we all came, I created a flyer on Canva. Well, first I started Vault Strength Club page. That's when I was like, okay, now I'm legitimizing this thing on social media. I start Vault Strength Club. In starting Vault Strength Club, I keep it there at bay. I go on Canva. I create the first VSC flyer. You know, 5K run, 7:30 Melrose Arch. I don't remember if I said all black or whatever. But what's funny about that is, at that run that we linked up at in Melrose, we all came in all black.
Crazy.
You know, and what's so crazy about that story is that most of my mates, they were like, nah, they figured that I was gonna come because I'm always in all black. They came in all black, you know. One of my boys, close mate, CJ, he was wearing white shorts at the time in black, but then something in his mind made him change, and he put black shorts, and we all came in all black. Linked up, like I'm saying, because I come from a content space, I got a photographer, I got a videographer, and there was just literally 7 of us. And there was one random guy, when I put the flyer out, who came. One guy. Like I'm saying, shoot the content. We run first 5K, we run it in around Melrose, shoot the content, shoot the video. The run was obviously dope with the team, and then fast forward to the following week, I'm like, nah, we gotta switch this shit on now. And I don't know why. I don't know what like pushed me, because it was like, dog, we just ran and that's it. But essentially, once I started the page, I think that was my driving force of, oh no, now we here. Like there's a page now, you gotta do. There's no going back. There's no going back, dude. You can't like, you know, deactivate the page now. You know, right. So. My videographer edits the video, shot on my iPhone. He basically edits it. We put it out on social media. It gets traction, I think. You know, I don't know if I was paying too much attention to that at the time. I was just trying to put content out because that's what I do. you know. Next thing you know, I'm like, okay, we gotta switch this shit on for real. I hit up my graphic designer. Now I'm being serious. I'm not doing the things on Canva.
It's not on
anymore.
Canva.
It's not on Canva now.
Let's go to Photoshop.
Let's go to Photoshop. I tell him, yo, this is the vision, this is the vibe, and we need to really like make it look official. Create the second VSC flyer, put it out there. Next weekend, same time, same place, Saturday morning, 23 people show up.
So from 7
to 23. That's like 2 weeks.
I'm like almost 3 times.
Yeah,
that's even more.
We like, whoa. So before all of that, I basically sat down with the homies, and individually I sat down with them, telling them my ideas and what I wanted to do, you know, just to see if we're all aligned, you know, because yes, we are doing the same things, we're running, everything's about wellness, everything's all fine and dandy, but are we aligned in this vision that we can cook together, you know, because I'll later on let you know about our little mantras that we have and stuff about like that. What builds our community is that essentially I wanted to have a team, you know, and build this with the like-minded individuals for us to do a greater good for the community, you know. And those are the people I sat down with and felt like, guys, we can build this project together. Are we in? And obviously everybody was in, so we started pushing this narrative. Second week, 23 people pull up. Dope. Okay. Third week, 30 people pull up. Fourth week, 50. Fifth week, 50. It's like, whoa, what the hell is going on? Because how is this just like...
Yeah, just increasing,
you know what I mean?
and growing.
Then fast forward to the second week of the 50 numbers. I was working with Under Armour at the time as a content creator. They were opening up a retail store in Sandton. So we basically held our run first, and then we went there. When we went there, basically Under Armour saw our run club, because we told them, no, we come from our run club. When they saw the numbers and they saw the state, they were like, what? Y'all niggas are doing this? Mm-hmm. Yo, we gotta co-sign you. Under Armour partnership gives us the bag. We're in partnership with Under Armour now, official brand sponsorship with Under Armour, and then the sky just became the limit from there, you know, because the numbers just kept on growing, the brands kept on coming, and we just kept on going and going and going and going up until like, I think where we at now is well over 400 people running with us every Saturday morning, 6:30 a.m., you know.
From seven people.
From 7 people to 450.
Shit.
It all started in April.
Damn, bro. Like, I love that, because it's so important for people to know that, bro, it starts with 5 people.
It starts with 5.
6 people.
Exactly.
7 people.
You know?
To get to 450 people.
Yep.
Even for Under Armour to be like, you know what, we're actually going to fuck with these guys.
Exactly.
They could see
the vision, you know, and I'm so appreciative of them seeing that at such an early stage, you know, because it was like, wow, we did not even see this. I did not see this coming, you know what I mean? My only plan or idea I had was building an athleisure brand.
I feel you.
I just wanted to make clothes. That's my passion. I wanted to make clothes. But now we have a community that we have to take care of now. You know what I mean? Hence why this is not a run club. It's called Vault Strength Club. So essentially, like, what does strength mean to you? Strength can mean anything, right? It's not just essentially about being fit. It's about waking up every day, you know, making your bed, doing something that you weren't able to do the night before, the day before, you know, and that's what this community is about. That's what we're trying to build with everybody here, you know. Essentially, what we need to look at is how we've built such a strong community of like-minded individuals in our demographic space, you know, where it's like, I believe it's unseen, you know. I don't want to say unheard of, but like, it's unseen in the sense that we got black individuals waking up on a Saturday morning at 6 to go run. That's few far between, revolutionary, you know. And the community that we're building here is just trying to show that, guys, there is a way out, you know, of all the norms that we know of, going out, doing the extracurricular activities that essentially don't bring us too much good, you know. Essentially, they just take us back to the dark places that we don't want to be.
It doesn't help us build,
you know what I mean? And I think that's what was so important about doing this on a Saturday, because essentially your Friday is fucked.
Yo,
you can't do anything.
You can't.
Where you going?
Out. And then that forces, like, it causes a ripple effect in your life, right? Because
routine.
now routine.
It all boils down to that. is that now you know that, damn, my Friday, I'm not really going to go out and drink. So then cuts it down. It cuts everything down that we were doing probably excessively, you know what I mean? Strength in numbers, one of our biggest mantras, like you can't do this without people, we are stronger together, those are the messages that we're really trying to put out there, and I think with the community being as strong as it is, it shows that strength in numbers is a real thing, because that's why it's happening the way it is, so it's just one of those blessings that we have been blessed.
I feel
more than I can't, I'm lost for words. I'm always in disbelief as to how this happened, but we're here now, and there's still so much more to do and tell and share, to the whole of South Africa, to the world, essentially, Yeah.
Damn, I love that, and I love the conversation of building communities, right? Because once you start focusing on building communities, because we're living in an era where your Instagram following, your TikTok following, that's all people see, right? But a lot of influencers, even influencers who have come and sat on this chair, right? We've spoken about the fact that a community is more valuable than high numbers.
Yep.
So you can have a community of whatever, 10,000, 20,000, right? Your community. That's more valuable than someone who has 1 million followers.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that community is and that's the thing that brands want to tap into. Community.
Exactly.
I get
and
that.
hence all these dope ass brand collaborations, but everything's also about alignment, I mean, we're not just doing things, and working with brands just for the sake of working with them. It's always going to be about brand alignment and how does it benefit our community, I mean, with our VSC runs, man, every month we host charity runs, we do charity runs, we raise awareness, we raise funds, there's always a story behind what we're doing, because we're not just doing things for the sake of doing, that's what this community is about, and we're just here to really uplift ourselves, uplift our generation, uplift our demographic, and really just change your day-to-day life, and I think it's very imperative that people understand that, and really tap into that, because essentially we are doing we're basically doing what I've been doing for myself to the public now, to the masses as a community, and seeing that is more beautiful than me just being the one person on my own, I'm in line. I got my shit together. No, we are now all getting our shit together, because essentially, without the community, we are nothing, I'm this person now because of them. Having to wake up and show up for them makes me a better person, a better man, makes me want to do better things, because it's you are holding these people with you and they're looking to you as the standard, and essentially what you want to do is make sure we all ride together, we all learn together, we all fail together, but we're doing this together.
Fuck, I love that, bro. This is such an important message. Actually, I'm a big runner, right? But I don't join running clubs because I have this thing in my mind where I don't like to depend on external, people, But now as you've been breaking it down, I'm shit, bro, I'm pulling.
I feel pull up, man, and just experience the vibe, because essentially you're right in saying that sometimes the real hard work can be put when you're doing it alone, but when you don't come from that background, where else are you going to get that confidence to do it with people? That's where the community comes in, You'll do your groundwork by yourself, solo, dolo, you always do that, there's always time for that, but essentially when you're not experienced enough to basically do these things, it's better to do it with people, so that you can feel together, I mean, with our run club, what we do basically is we have 4 routes. There's a 4K for beginners and newcomers. So essentially, if you just want to experience the VSC
and just see
energy, and just see what it's about, you come through to that. There's a 5K, which is there's a fast 5, where it's run obviously at a much faster pace, and then there's an easy 5, where it's run at a much more moderate pace, and then there's an 8K and a 10K, But essentially, we're all running in this thing together in one area, we do breakfast awards for people who have improved on their runs. We track people's runs. We do giveaways. Essentially just building a community togetherness. And I think that's why it's so strong, because it's just so crazy to be at a stage where you started something at the beginning of the year, April, and it's now we are literally sitting at 450 runners every Saturday morning, with the sponsorships and brands that are working with us and aligning with us. It's so special to see, and it's inspiring. Like, seeing that inspires me. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Yeah.
Now that we've built the brand, we've built the Strength Club, and just from the conversation that I've been having with you, you're a very goal-orientated man.
Yeah.
Right? Now, everyone who comes on Dead Radio, I speak to them about the evolution of their dreams.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm always super interested how people check things off and then realize, oh snap, because I've checked these things off, now I can do these things.
Yeah.
So what's a new dream for Tebogo today that you didn't have 12 months ago, when the running club was like a dream, when Vault was still like just a thing? What's a new dream for you at this place that you're at?
How I look at it right now is, because we've birthed such a new baby, and the baby has grown like so exceptionally, is that trying to make sure that, by next year as well, we are still able to like make it grow. But I think for me, it's maintenance. I think that's the goal, maintaining it, maintaining what's going on and making sure you don't lose it based off of ill-formed decisions. I don't want to say I lack in that. I just know what failure feels like, and I don't want to experience that again. So just maintaining that, because it's so crazy for me to say, but like, we didn't picture this, so it's so hard for me to say what's my next goal, because it's like how things are shifting and shaping right now. It's like I don't even know, but we are in these spaces, so let's take advantage of them, and do what needs to be done. But essentially, having built this foundation, this company, the way it has been built, all you can do is just take it further, and by taking it further, it's just making sure that you are maintaining it. Each level it gets to, and then seeing where we go from here, because I think it's limitless. It's limitless. Like the ideas, the concepts that we have with the Strength Club is it's almost endless. It's not things that we always want to just put out there and say. To rather just show, and make people understand that there's so much more to what we're doing than what meets the eye. Yeah.
Damn, I love that. And you saying maintaining is like the lesson that you learned from the first store.
Yeah.
When you guys didn't maintain.
Exactly,
that.
we didn't.
And now it's like the first thing in your mind, let's maintain this thing, build it block by block.
Block by block,
Fuck.
That's it.
I love that, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it so much, bro.
So much. This has been such a fire conversation.
Thank you for having me.
What's your last piece of advice to the kids who are watching this, who are like, I have a dream, whatever dream it is.
Yeah.
Maybe I've started it failed, or I haven't started it, it's still just an idea in my mind.
Yeah.
What's your last piece of advice?
I think don't stop. Don't stop. Give yourself time. Give yourself grace. But whatever it is that you're passionate about, don't stop. Just go for it every day. Don't give up. Don't give up on your dreams. Give yourself time. Time is everything, I think the position that I've been put in, I realize that time is everything. This has been well over 10 years in the making of things that I didn't even think were going to happen or come to fruition. So from what I took from where I'm at and where we're still yet to go is time. Give yourself time, but whatever it is that you should not do is stop. Don't stop.
Damn, I love that, bro. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit us up in the comments with what your favorite story was, what your favorite jewel was, and we'll be back with another episode of Dead Radio from your boy Ini.
And you're live on Dead Radio.